Hi, this is John again, the owner and developer of VectorDecks. In this tutorial, we're going to go over the basics behind creating your own real objects that you can add to all the different menu options for real objects within VectorDecks. As I mentioned in previous tutorials, real objects is an optional way that VectorDecks gives you for you to design the different type of rails. Here, let me show you. I'm going to pop in a Sundeck frame real quick. And if you go to the frame Sundeck rail settings, you'll see when the custom settings is selected and use rail objects is turned off, you can create the rail using these dimensional type of entries. But when you click on use rail objects, now you'll be selecting different kind of patterns and different kind of caps and skirts for the post and for the rails, different type of rail finishes. Now these menus currently don't have too many selections in here, but I'm going to show you how you can add your own to these type of optional selections within VectorDecks. The first thing to understand when creating rail objects is understanding what they really are. They're objects. You cannot change them during the process of creating your document or creating the rail in your document. They're objects that you've created and they're placed in a particular folder within the VectorDecks resource. And you'll see this folder resides at the bottom there. It's called VectorDecks Data Folder. And each folder has these different type of objects that become available within the VectorDecks menus. So it's important to understand that these are actually fixed objects that you're going to create and then add to their required folder. And during this creation process, you'll also be creating records along with each object with different type of information that's going to be very important for it to display properly. This information is pretty standard between both the 36 and a 42-inch rail. So I decided to make a template that can help me with that. Let me open that template and I'll show you. I created a template called VectorDecks Rail Objects Work. I'm going to select that, and as you see here, I've got sort of a top view and a section view of a rail that I was working on. And I have all the different possible parts that you could add to the menu. I've got skirts, different type of post caps. I've got a top rail and the bottom rail. I even have a center pattern. But these are all the different type of objects that I'm going to add, and I'm going to show you how you can do this too. Now I'm not going to get into the actual designing of each individual part. Those and all of these were designed using all the basic VectorWorks designing tools. I'm just going to show you that after you've already created your design, how you'll be able to add it to the VectorDecks menus. I will show you though a very special step I did that helped me take an existing railing design and create these for VectorDecks. VectorWorks has a real neat option under their Modify menu. It's called Scale Objects. And what that is it could take any object and you could scale it to fit your document scale. So what I've done is I would go on the internet and browse around and find a particular railing design I like. And in some cases, the manufacturer will actually have a spec sheet. Here's an example of one showing you the actual dimensions. Sometimes these dimensions are very complete, but other times they're very general. They'll be missing certain dimensions that I would like to have. So what I do is I save that particular image as a PDF, and then I import it into VectorDecks. Here, let me show you. Let me get rid of that PDF file I have already. Now, what you want to do is go to VectorWorks File menu and scroll down to Import and Import PDF. Now I have this saved from before, so I'm going to go ahead and open it. It's just a single page, so we can leave that setting alone. And this is the actual PDF that I had saved right off the internet. And as you notice, the scale here is not to what my drawing is. This is the actual sleeve I created, and you see it's quite a bit smaller. So what I needed to do is get this particular image scaled down to where 5 inches for that sleeve will equal 5 inches on my document. VectorWorks makes this real easy. Let's zoom in a little closer to this PDF. And what I try to do is find a portion of the PDF that's the most descriptive, and that falls not within a fraction. I'm lucky here I have a 5 inch by 5 inch dimension here. Zoom in just a little tighter. And then make sure it's selected. Say the PDF is selected in the background there. Now go to VectorWorks Modify menu and scroll down to Scale Objects. Now you want to make sure that the Symmetric by Distance is checked, and that you're not scaling the entire drawing or the text, just the object that is selected. Then you want to click on this little icon here that has a dimensional line with arrows. Now come back into the drawing, and I'm going to start a line from this end and go all the way over to that other end as tight as I can. And after that second click, the window pops back open, and it's asking me what distance that particular line you just drawn you want it to be on your document. Now I did this before, so by default it said 5. Whatever you did previously would appear. So I wanted that line, which is not 5 inches, it's like 10 3/16, to be scaled down to make that PDF scale down to be 5 inches. You click OK, and there we have it. We have a PDF document that was imported from outside, brought into this document, and it's going to match up pretty close now. Close enough to actually get the dimensions that I were missing. These different type of dimensions I really wanted to have for accuracy. I'm able to now have and produce these rail styles to pretty much match exactly these particular images I got off that PDF. Let's take this one. I'll show you how it just pretty much exactly right over top. So now I'm able to create these with the accuracy I need for this particular rail style. Now once I'm finished creating the different actual components of the rail, I move them over to this section that sort of gives me a cross section of a 36-inch rail and a 42-inch rail. I then made copies of these particular objects, and I placed them as if this was the actual rail. And I based it on, for me, I based it on a 3-inch off the deck surface, the bottom of that bottom rail component, and then the top rail finishing at 36, and then the actual baluster that would need to be installed. All these different kind of dimensions are going to be critical when I insert the object or even create the object to go into VectorDecks, particularly with the dimension of the actual component. These particular dimensions will be applied to their individual records. In the next set of tutorials, I'm going to go over how you can add all these different components we've created, all these different objects, into VectorDecks menu options for you to have access to.